In the background section, we talk about change management in general. More specifically, we look at what the purpose of change management is, what types of change management there are, the difference between change management and change facilitation, and we also discuss some of the results of typical change interventions. What is the purpose of change management? We have heard previously about systems having a conceptual and a physical reality, and that the conceptual reality informs or puts form into the physical reality, or put differently, the physical reality unfolds according to its conceptual reality. We have used the house and the house plan as an analogy, namely that the house is going to be built according to its plan. If there is a fault in the plan, there will be a fault in the house. Or if the builder interprets the plan wrongly, builds with inferior material, makes other mistakes, there will be problems in physical reality even if the plan is correct. If we have an existing house that we want to alter, maybe knock down some walls, build on, we have to first change its conceptual reality. Put differently, we have to do a plan about the alteration. So based on that, we could define the purpose of change management as facilitating the alignment between the physical and conceptual reality of a system. Now, typically, if we deal with a social system, like, for example, an organization or an organizational function, then the system will have mistakes in its conceptual reality and its physical reality. So we have to work with both sides. We have to identify a mismatch between conceptual and physical reality. The way we do that is we identify the problems in the physical reality of the system, and if the system is problem-riddled, we can be sure that there are also problems in conceptual reality. And it would be useful to clarify the conceptual reality, affirm it or amend it or even redesign it completely, so that we can create a different physical reality of the system. This is really what we do in a system transformation. We first redesign the system, and then we plan the implementation of that new design, and we facilitate the change in the physical reality of the system according to its new conceptual reality. In other words, we plan how to get the system from where we are now to where we want it to be according to the new design. So this is the purpose of change management. We also need to evaluate the actual change that occurred in physical reality against the intended change, the planned change in conceptual reality, and if necessary, replan or change the physical reality accordingly. We do that through performance management involving the plan, implement, evaluate, maintain or replan cycle. Types of change management. One can broadly distinguish between change management projects and change management functions. Like we heard previously, projects end with implementation, while functions are an inherent part of a system that fulfill its purpose as long as the system is in existence or needs it. Typical examples of change management projects are bringing a new system into being, improving an existing system, or dissolving an existing system. In these cases, change management ends as soon as the new system is in existence, or the improvement has been implemented, or an existing system has been dissolved. Likewise, When we transform an existing system by redesigning it, the change management ends as soon as that system starts functioning automatically in accordance with its new design. In the case of change management functions, we can distinguish between inherent change management and dedicated change management. Inherent change management refers to the ability of a system to carry on changing itself almost automatically. We have learned about strategic performance management as being the mechanism with which a system can continue to change itself in accordance with a changing environment. If learning is built into the plan, implement, evaluate, replan, and so on cycle, then the performance management will lead to the ongoing development of the system. Most organizations also have dedicated change management. That means a change management function or a change management department, typically as part of the organization development function, which assists other functions to manage change. This is typically required if major environmental changes necessitate major functions in one part of the organization. Then the dedicated change management function will help to manage the change, ideally facilitating it in a systemic manner like learned in this module. Change management versus change facilitation. We have repeatedly used those terms and would like to explain the difference between them. When we talk about change management, we mean managing the process of change, deciding its phases, who are the stakeholders that need to be involved in each phase, what kind of tools we are using, etc. When we talk about change facilitation, we refer to the content of change, how to get the stakeholders to design the actual change. There is not necessarily the same use of these terms in the management literature. Different systems use different terminology. So this explains just the way we use the words. As a background, how successful are conventional organization development interventions? One study by McLachlan in 2005 gave the following figures. About 65%, that is 2/3 of major organizational changes, fail. Nearly 90% of interventions are not successful, according to the opinion of top management. 2/3 of total quality management programs die after 2 years. About 30% of IT projects are cancelled, and 2/3 of change managers feel that they are not competent. And the confidence of managers in their own ability is low. There are similar studies that I have seen which give very similar percentages. Some of my large corporate clients have confirmed those, and some of them have even said that the figures quoted here are low compared to their own experience. So it seems a very widespread problem that conventional OD interventions are not successful. I don't think as a person one would like to go and be treated by a doctor who has these kind of results with his or her patients. Why are these interventions so relatively unsuccessful? I personally believe, from a systemic point of view, that one reason is that the interventions themselves are non-systemic. That means they are not grounded in a systems theory. Often the interventions are unnecessary. The latest fad is going to sweep through an organization if it is needed or not. I think every management consultant has that experience if they go into an organization, that they are bedazzled by the kind of latest techniques that are included in the hope of improving the organization. There are too many interventions. One of the corporate clients I recently worked with had 60 change interventions that occurred independent from each other. 3 of them major, company-wide. Often they are in different parts of the system and they are unknown to other parts of the organization. And even if they are known, they tend to be uncoordinated. 3 of those major interventions of these 60, for example, were initiated by different departments and uncoordinated. So when Biometrics Web was called in, we had a very hard time to try and integrate these 3 because they suddenly realized that they would rock the organization too much if implemented separately. Non-systemic change management is another reason for the poor performance. So even if the intervention design per se would be systemic, if it is not managed systemically, it will not succeed. Typically, this involves that the change management itself is not grounded in systems theory, that the intervention design was a black box design. In other words, top management with a few external consultants conceived the intervention and people who are affected by those interventions were not involved. So non-involvement and non-consideration of key stakeholders is a very, very important aspect of why change interventions fail. Often interventions are pushed into an organization in a linear fashion. By comparison, as we will see, systemic change management is iterative. It again and again involves stakeholders in trying to embed them in the intervention. So the step 1, 2, 3 and sequencing it does not typically work in getting change implemented in an organization. Then very often the tapping, the buy-in, the taking in and making the change relevant for the various stakeholders is not managed properly. And very often interventions are not creative and stakeholders did not give creative input into the change intervention.